I think a bigger concern here in the greater Houston area is whether or not we're going to just start releasing prisoners, quote-unquote nonviolent offenders. Now, first of all, I guess one man's nonviolent offender might not necessarily fit another man's definition of that, because we have seen before where we have reduced bail for people who have been accused of murder. That seems like a pretty violent act. So I'm wondering if that gets covered in this, if that turns out to be the case. The other thing is we know during these types of events, there's a natural spike in crime. So if we let individuals out that are in jail for burglary or some other offense, might they be in great danger of repeating that offense when they're out? Joining us to talk about it is Ken W. Good. He's a Texas bail attorney and a board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. So, Ken, what are you hearing about what they're likely to do here in Harris County? And there may even be an announcement later today on all this.
Well, things are moving very quickly and very fast, and it seems like we're making all the wrong decisions and moving in the wrong areas. I mean, when somebody says that they're afraid that they might catch the coronavirus in the jail and they just get a PR bond even though they've been accused of capital murder, we're moving in the wrong direction. And from what I'm hearing, we're going to get an order today where we're going to start issuing or just releasing certain types of accused people who are accused of felonies. So it's going to get worse before it gets better.
All right. Aren't they supposed to be releasing nonviolent offenders? And just to be sure, because maybe I've misread the definition, would the capital murder be considered a violent offense? I'm just
curious.
Under the Texas
Constitution, it would be. In fact, it's the most capital offense under the Texas Constitution. I think we have a lot of fear going on right now, and the fear is taking over, and we're not making logical decisions. And, there's other counties that are moving to make it easier to post a bond, like accepting fax bonds, making it quicker to get them out because they're thinking long term. How are we going to get these people back? How are we going to find them when the private industry does the best job of keeping up with them? And here in Houston, we're just turning to just release them.
Well, and we've seen that going on for a while. That's what makes me suspect in all this. This has been going on longer than the coronavirus has been going on. This has been a part of some of the more liberal judges. This has been a part of their MO here in Harris County over the course of the last year, is to increasingly make it easier out of a quote-unquote sense of fairness by saying that people who can't afford their bond, we ought to give them a bond they can afford.
That's exactly right. And what we found as a result of that is that the numbers of pending cases in Harris County from the county courts at law have doubled in that time. And so we're getting a huge backlog, and so it's not working. Crime has gone up before the coronavirus. And so what have we done? We've now decided to double and triple down on this same failed philosophy.
Where did the philosophy come from? Is the philosophy the honest to goodness misplaced idea that these people will not repeat their crimes while they're out on bond, that we can trust them to behave themselves until they go to trial? Or is this just a group of very liberal judges who evidently is more concerned about criminals than they are concerned about the public at large?
Well, I think they found a vulnerable spot in Harris County, and they've really they've taken advantage of it. It started out with, they didn't have certain procedures in place, but the real problem, what everybody is failing to realize is the issue is how do you process large numbers of people to the jail effectively and efficiently? And the problem is, a byproduct of that is you don't want to take advantage of poor people. You don't want to forget about them. Well, our friends on the other side have turned the byproduct into the problem. And so the reason why everything has been turned upside down is because they have decided they want to create a system that's fair when they never realized that the problem is how do you process large numbers of people to the jail quickly and cost effectively? And we found in Harris County in New York, just releasing people is a recipe for disaster, and that's what's happened, and that will be what continues to happen, and it's why people are in record numbers are buying guns. That doesn't sound like they feel safe.
No, and it's not just here where we're at record numbers of people buying guns. This is happening all across the country. Did you see, by the way, Ken, that even the governor of Illinois, and I can't think of a state that has more stringent anti-gun measures than Illinois. Even the governor included gun stores and ammunition as part of essential services.
That's well, it's incredible, and it's a recognition that we're entering a period of chaos. Because what that says is, if the police and the government cannot protect you, then you should, at the very least, allow the public the ability to protect themselves. And it's really dangerous in Texas because we have the castle doctrine. So can you imagine that someone gets released, they go over to your house and try to break in, and then you turn around and shoot them? It's a low-level crime, but if the government had done what it should have done, they would have never entered your house. But because of the castle doctrine in Texas, you can't be prosecuted for that because Texas strongly protects property owners' rights to defend their property, much stronger than any other state.
All right, for the next 60 seconds or so, I'm going to suspend disbelief and ask you what conditions are like in the Harris County Jail. What is the population like? How many people do we have, generally speaking, do you think, per cell? Is there a legitimate health reason to let some of these people out of jail?
No, I don't think there is. What they need to be doing is setting up procedures to assess them, like the federal jail is doing. You have to, if you get arrested, you add a day before you ever see a magistrate because you've got to be assessed to determine if you're healthy. And so they need to be setting up systems for that. Now, I understand they know that the court system has come to a stop and it's slowly moving, so they need to make excess space for the next couple of months until the courts pick up again. But this is not the way to do it. This is not a good policy.
All right, so what would a better policy be? Let's help them solve the problem. Do we need to get a separate facility to house prisoners in that may come down with the coronavirus? How do we go about trying to separate them from the general population so we don't have this thing run rampant in jail?
Well, first they need to be planning for when they have somebody get the coronavirus in the jail and how to assess for it and how to prepare for it. They also need to be making the procedures more easier for them to be bonded out because the bonding community will keep track of them more quickly and efficiently and get them back to court. And so accepting fax bonds, lowering bonds, or even just setting a temporary bail schedule for this time period so people can get in through the system and out, that would help. That would be the biggest help for what they're doing. But they're doing the opposite. And plan that someone will have the coronavirus in the local jail. I think what they're doing is, at all costs, they want to keep that from happening. If the governor of New York is correct and says 80% of the population is going to get the coronavirus, you can't give people who commit crimes a get out of jail free card. So all they have to do is cough or say that they've got the coronavirus, and they can do whatever crime they want, and they won't get arrested.
All right, Ken, good to talk to you, sir. Thank you. We'll keep an eye on all this, obviously, for all of our own safety. That's Texas bail attorney, board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas, Ken W. Good, joining us here on AM 950 KPRC. Coming up in the next segment.